Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purpose, such as criticism, commenting, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, education, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
And here we are, just moments away from that screen taking over. That is where Kamala Harris is going to take direct questions from a group of undecided and persuadable voters. That's what they all have said they are at a CNN town hall. Part of Harris's final pitch today has been highlighting Trump's reported praise of Hitler, the danger a second Trump term could pose. She has been using that word dangerous, which has been a big emphasis for her over recent days. Coming as CNN has learned, former President Obama shared a similar message at a fundraiser for Harris this week. He described Trump as somebody who white nationalists explicitly rally around, quote from the former president there. And on that note, panel back along with Jay Carney, former White House press secretary under President Obama. So Jay, he's been out there now several times. And I actually have listened to a few of them. So he's got a speech, he's got a message, and then he adds to it. But he's got a message that he's putting out there. How effective do you think he is right now?
Well, I think President Obama is very effective at reaching voters and urging them to go to the polls.
This is way over the edge. Like it's not even over the edge. We died already.
This is beyond the event horizon. Like we about to hit the vortex.
I think what's notable
we about to hit the
vortex.
vortex.
Yeah. Closed fundraiser is different from what he's saying. The message here is a winning one is to talk about how Donald Trump is unfit for office. He is. When you have two four-star generals, highly respected, who served under you say so, I think that's disqualifying. But the swing voters don't want it. They've decided on that issue already. If they're undecided about Donald Trump's fitness for office, they're not looking for more information about that question. They're looking for, what President Obama talked about at the convention, which is he's whining about his problems, not thinking about yours. And then you go right to the economic message. You go right to the
assumption is the mother of all fuck-ups.
Hammer it and hammer it. That's what's going to move voters.
Then is he turning voters out for her?
Well, yes, but I really agree with what was just said. The people who are movable now are looking at their pocketbook. And Kamala Harris has a great plan for them. Donald Trump's economic plans are horrible, and hers are great. If we talk about that,
who is we?
They both are projected to add trillions of dollars to the
Who is we?
Yes, the debt. But will I be able to get my mom help? Will I have to pay a lot more for stuff I want to buy because of these stupid tariffs? So I think at the end of the day, Kamala Harris needs to I want you guys to do well. I want you to be financially successful. I've got plans to do it. And use the contrast to talk about what she's going to do for you.
Yeah. And her biggest obstacle she has to overcome is about 30% of voters who want to know more specifically about her policies. And there are specific questions. Would you extend or support extending Trump's tax cuts, or would you approach it differently? There are some things that I think she could get tonight that specifically hit people's pocketbooks that are going to resonate with independent voters. And she's so far been able to articulate some forward-looking visions, and she's closed the margin on who would handle the economy better. This recent AP data has voters supporting her just as much as Donald Trump on that. But she needs a more forward-looking agenda that separates her from Biden and distinguishes her from Trump.
I so agree with what Jay said. And I think you can fall into a trap if you're just listing proposals. You have to talk about the experience of people in this economy. And she needs to make that connection here and talk about how her policies will actually help. She's got practical policies on housing, on taking care of an elderly parent, on the kinds of things that people talk about.
Then shut the fuck up in 2024.
Talk about that, not democracy. Right?
I would just say this with respect to both you guys. Barack Obama's a great surrogate, right? Kamala Harris has to. She's got to close the deal here. On the way over here today, my Uber driver from Ghana, who's been here 10 years, He doesn't know who I am. I'm asking him kind of, what do you pay?
Just wanted to ask someone like you, do you get much?
Not too often.
All my friends.
Just an occasional glass of dinner.
All my friends.
That's not what she meant.
I can't vote. All my friends. I said, really? Why? He said, immigration is terrible. He said, it's killing us. I'm working 5 jobs. I can't make it ends meet. And then he said, the economy. He said, it costs me so much to fill up the car, to put food on my table. He said, these guys aren't doing enough to help us. That's my only
Jay, what does she do
point.
tonight
She's
about
gotta
that?
address that
What does she
point,
do
right?
tonight about that? Beyond saying, I'm for you, right? I mean, that's part of it. That's not enough.
Here's a piece of documented evidence you can point to, which is the economists that drive inflation up, and hers won't. Certainly not. She can actually, in this case, take partial credit while distancing herself from the sitting president for the impact of the policies that have reduced inflation significantly in the last year and a half. I think, and then I think she has to talk about, I think the
Assumption is the mother of all fuck-ups.
And meaningful to a lot of voters, the $25,000 injection to help, for small business. These things are meaningful to people.
Jay's such a good president.
I'm going
to say, what's going on with the gold market, the treasury market, and everything out there is pretty terrifying right now. I don't know what it means. I mean, it's not going to change the next few weeks here, but
what I hope she doesn't do is spend a lot of time talking about the comments that Trump has made about admiring Hitler's generals or whether or not he's unfit for office. That's out there. It's getting plenty of attention. She needs to talk to voters.
To the extent she's talking about his instability, it should be, this is what I'm focused on, and that's what he's focused on. I'm going to focus on you. He's going to focus on his vengeance thing of the day. And whose problems is that concern?
Well, here we are. It's about to begin, and we're going to get to see exactly what case she makes, because it is time now for the big event. The CNN presidential town hall, hosted by Anderson Cooper with Kamala Harris, begins right now.
Event, she said, event. Okay.
Good evening. Only 13 days to go in one of the most momentous and unusual presidential races in American history. Tonight, Kamala Harris faces voters in the biggest battleground prize.
Why should I care?
You know how long I've been waiting for this? Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
And welcome. We are live from Chester Township, Pennsylvania, Delaware County, one of the critical counties around Philadelphia that will help determine who wins the White House. Welcome to CNN's presidential town hall with the Democratic nominee, Vice President Kamala Harris. I'm Anderson Cooper. Now, in this room, we have a group of 32 Pennsylvania voters who say they are still undecided or persuadable. All of them are registered to vote. Some cast votes for Joe Biden in 2020, others for Donald Trump. Some didn't vote at all. And for some, this is their first election. Many are leaning right now to one candidate or another, but they all say they have yet to make their final choice. Now, we found these voters working with a nonpartisan research firm, as well as business and religious groups, universities, and other civic organizations. These voters are asking their own questions tonight, selected by CNN to cover a variety of topics. You may see them holding a piece of paper when they're asking their question. It has their question on it. That is a question they have come up with. It has not been edited in any way by CNN. We also invited former President Donald Trump to participate in a town hall or a debate. He declined. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Vice President Kamala Harris. And Vice President, thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks. We have a mic right here. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
Thanks so much for being with us. We're going to get to the
dinner's ready.
I want to start by asking you, though, for weeks you have been calling Donald Trump unstable, unhinged. You've called him dangerous. You've quoted General Milley recently, who called him a fascist. Today, you quoted General Kelly, who said that Trump repeatedly praised Hitler.
Are your feelings
hurt? There are tens of millions of Americans right now who have heard all those things, and they don't buy it, or even if they do, they're still going to vote for Donald Trump.
Man,
he's arguably more popular now than ever. You have 13 days to go. What do you say to those voters to convince them? Because some of them are in this room.
Sure. And I thank you all for taking the time to be here. And you could be doing a number of other things with your time. So this really is proof that we love our country. People are engaged, Anderson, and really want to talk about the issues. And so the issue that you raise, yes, I do believe that Donald Trump is unstable, increasingly unstable, and unfit to serve. And I don't necessarily think that everyone has heard what you and I have heard repeatedly, which is the people who know Donald Trump best, the people who worked with him in the White House, in the Situation Room, in the Oval Office, all Republicans, by the way, who served in his administration, his former chief of staff, his national security advisor, former secretaries of defense, and his vice president have all called him unfit and dangerous. They have said explicitly he has contempt for the Constitution of the United States. They have said he should never again serve as president of the United States. We know that is why Mike Pence is not running with him again, why the job was empty. And then today we learned that John Kelly, a 4-star Marine general, who was his longest serving chief of staff, gave an interview recently in the last 2 weeks of this election, talking about how dangerous Donald Trump is. And I think one has to think about, why would someone who served with him, who is not political, a 4-star Marine general, why is he telling the American people now? And frankly, I think of it as he's just putting out a 911 call to the American people. Understand what could happen if Donald Trump were back in the White House. And this time, we must take very seriously those folks who knew him best and who were career people are not going to be there to hold him back. At least before, there were folks who we know what he would say, but they would restrain him. Imagine now Donald Trump in the Oval Office, in the Situation Room. He who has openly admired dictators, said he would be a dictator on day one. The former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff has said he is a fascist to the core. So I think that when the American people reflect, especially those who are undecided, on who you should listen to, don't take my word for it. In fact, go online and listen to John Kelly, his voice, talking about what he thinks of Donald Trump 2 weeks before the election. Because I think we all know, to your point, Anderson, it is close, but there are undecided voters who clearly, by being here, have an open mind, want to talk in a way that is grounded in issues and fact. And when they hear these facts, I think it compels a lot of people to be concerned about the future of our country with Donald Trump at the lead.
You've quoted General Milley calling Donald Trump a fascist. You yourself have not used that word to describe him. Let me ask you tonight, do you think Donald Trump
people in the
is a
room,
fascist?
hit the like.
Yes, I do. And I also believe that the people who know him best on this subject should be trusted. Again, look at their careers. These are not people, with the exception, I think, of only
it's called the military-industrial complex, madam. You lean into
These are
them.
career people who have served in the highest roles in national security, who have served as generals in our military, who are highly respected. Talking about,
oh my God,
the person who would be commander-in-chief, not to mention what we know and what they've told about how he talks about the military.
Cares?
Servicemen and women.
Come on, let's get to the show.
Referring to them as
Lord.
suckers and losers who have taken an oath to sacrifice their life for our country. And I do believe, Anderson, that part of this is why, even just this week, I traveled this state and others with Liz Cheney, former Congress member who was a very high-ranking Republican. She has endorsed me. Her father, the former Vice President of the United States, Dick Cheney, is voting for me. Over 400 previous members of the administration, from Ronald Reagan to both Presidents Bush to Donald Trump, even, have endorsed my candidacy. And the reason why, among them, is a legitimate fear based on Donald Trump's words and actions that he will not obey an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. He himself has said he would terminate the Constitution of the United States and wants to earn your vote to stand again behind the seal of the President of the United States.
She finna cry.
standing behind the seal of the President of the United States of America,
Repeating it won't make it so.
should be in that position saying they want to terminate the Constitution of the United States.
Let's get to some of our voters. I want you to meet a registered Republican who's very concerned about Trump's views on democracy and January 6th. She told us she's looking for a reason to vote for you, but is yet to make her final decision. Her name is Natasha Krakowski. She's a student at Bryn Mawr College. What's your question, Natasha?
Awesome. Thank you for being here, and thank you for taking my question.
Thank you, Natasha.
And as someone who hasn't fully committed to either party, how do you plan to address the concerns of independent voters and anti-Trump Republicans like myself who feel left out of the polarized political landscape? And what specific actions would you take to bridge the political divide and create more unity?
That's a wonderful question. I pledge to you to be a president for all Americans. And I think, to the point of, in the spirit of your question, that people are frankly exhausted with what has been happening over the last several years, which is this environment that is suggesting that Americans should be pointing fingers at one another, that we are divided as a nation, instead of what I think you and I will speak for us, I think, who believe and know the vast majority of us have so much more in common than what separates us. And I think that the American people deserve to have a president who is grounded in what is common sense, what is practical, and what is in the best interest of the people, not themselves. I started my career as a prosecutor.
Oh, Lord.
And I will tell you, I never in most of my career was outside of Washington, D.C., by the way. Only 4 years when I was in the Senate were in Washington, other than being vice president. I have never in my career as a prosecutor asked a victim or a witness of a crime, are you a Democrat or a Republican? The only thing I've ever asked is, are you okay? And I do believe that is what the American people deserve in their president, and not someone who makes decisions based on who voted for them or what is in their personal interest. And I reference that because, as we know, it has been revealed that Donald Trump, when he was president, during extreme disasters, when it came time to determine how those areas, those people who had been traumatized by extreme weather would get relief, he asked the question, did they vote for him? I believe the American people deserve better. And they deserve a president who is focused on solutions, not sitting in the Oval Office plotting their revenge and retribution.
Let me introduce you to Eric Swenson. He runs a service desk for an IT company.
I don't know what the hell she just said.
In Pennsylvania. He's registered as a libertarian, describes himself as an independent. He says he's undecided. Eric?
Thank you, Anderson. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you, Eric.
So my question is concerning groceries. Grocery prices have gone up quite a bit in the last 4 years. And some people blame former President Trump. Some people blame President Biden.
Yay. It's already playing. It's already starting. Okay, where the hell is it?
And creating legislation that creates incentives for that, what we need to do to reinstate the freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do, whether it be what we need to do to actually invest in a substantial way in the industries of the future, in American-based manufacturing, in American-based industries where American workers and union workers have those jobs in a way that is good paying jobs that gives people the dignity they deserve. All of those areas I plan on working across the aisle and with Congress, including the issue of immigration, which we've got to fix.
Let me ask you, you've talked about codifying Roe v. Wade. That would obviously require 60 votes in the Senate, a majority.
Assumption is the mother of all fuck-ups.
That's a big leap. We don't have that yet. If that's not possible to codify it in the House, what do you do?
I think we need to take a look at the filibuster, to be honest with you.
Here we go.
The reality of it is this. Let's talk about how we got here. When Donald Trump was president, he hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did as he intended. And now in 20 states, we have Trump abortion bans that include punishing healthcare providers, doctors and nurses in Texas. Do you know they provide for prison for life? For a healthcare provider for doing the job that they believe is in the best interest of their patient?
So why didn't you? Why didn't you?
Trump
put,
abortion
oh my
bans,
God,
some that
going
make
on.
no exception. The idea you would tell a survivor of a violation to their body that they have no right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. This is what's happening in our country. You all may have heard the stories. Women have died. Women have died because of these laws.
Women have died because you
And the
didn't focus on
suffering,
Black
I have
female
to say,
mortality.
Anderson,
Shut up.
traveling, for example, I was with Liz Cheney this week. She is unapologetically pro-life and will also tell you that she doesn't agree with what's
Come on,
been
bro.
happening. I find that many
So
people
that's all
I've
I'm gonna
met
say.
who
I'm like,
are pro-life have said to me, you know, I didn't intend that this would happen. I didn't intend that women who are suffering a miscarriage would develop sepsis, as has happened many times. I didn't intend that women would die. I didn't intend that there would now be restrictions on access to in vitro fertilization. I didn't intend that there would be an effort to limit access to contraception. So, you know, this is probably one of the most fundamental freedoms that we as Americans could imagine, which is the freedom to literally make decisions about your own body. And on some issues, I think we've got to agree that partisanship should be put aside. And I'll close with this point. I know it is possible because when you look at the midterms in so-called red states and so-called blue states, when this issue of freedom was on the ballot, the American people voted for freedom.
This is Leanne Griffiths. She's registered with no party affiliation. She's a student at the University of Pennsylvania. She says she's leaning towards supporting you, has yet to make up a final decision because she isn't sure who's better for the economy. Leanne?
Hi, Vice President. Thank you for being here today. Considering you have been in the position of Vice President for the past 4 years under the Biden administration, how
Where's
can
your
we
family
expect you
from?
to deviate from the direction of that administration compared to your own? How can we differentiate your policy and your beliefs from that of
I smell
Biden's?
rice and peas.
That's a great question, and thank you. Well, first of all, my administration will not be a continuation of the Biden administration. I bring to this role my own ideas and my own experience. I represent a new generation of leadership on a number of issues and believe that we have to actually take new approaches. For example, what we talked about in terms of housing. My experience that leads to that priority includes what I did to take on the big banks around the foreclosure crisis when I brought billions of dollars to homeowners that were the subject of predatory lending. I know what home ownership means to the American people, not to mention what it meant to my mother, who worked very hard and saved up so that by the time I was a teenager, she was able to buy our first home. I bring to it my experience actually taking care of my mother when she was sick, and it was, as it turned out, dying from cancer. And so I know what it means and have the experience of taking care of an elderly relative, and I have raised children. And
That are
so
not
I
yours.
bring to my priorities
Nothing wrong
and
with
will,
that,
as president, a new approach and a new idea, frankly, about what we need to do to deal with the sandwich generation, which is what we call those folks who are literally in the middle, who are raising their young children and taking care of their parents, which is why my plan and approach says, hey, you shouldn't have to wipe out all your savings to qualify for Medicaid to be able to get support to hire somebody to help you cook for your parent or help them put on a sweater. I've done that. I know what that requires. You shouldn't have to
Now
quit
that's
your
just mean you
job
fed your mama
in order
them
to
greens
do
in
the
the
work that is
bathtub
necessary
with
to
the
take
dirt
care
ring
of your
garnish.
children
You
and
just
your
wrong
parent,
for that.
because it's overwhelming to try to do it all. And so my plan is to have and allow Medicare to cover the cost of home health care for our seniors. These are a couple of examples, including what we talked about in terms of price gouging and what we need to do in addition. And it's a new approach that I think it's well overdue. Let's invest in the small businesses of America.
Her daddy ain't black.
The woman who helped raise us was a
Miss
small
Shelton?
business owner.
There
I know
you
who small
go. Go ahead,
business
talk
owners
about Miss
are.
Shelton.
I
Yeah.
know what they do. They are the backbone of America's economy. And for too long, we've overlooked their value to the economy as a whole, much less to the economy of neighborhoods and communities. So that's why my plan, and it's a new approach, is about tax cuts for our small businesses so that they can invest in themselves and grow, and in the process, invest in communities, invest in neighborhoods, and strengthen our economy overall. So those are some examples. It's about a new approach, a new generation of leadership based on new ideas and, frankly, different experiences. I bring a whole set of different experiences to this job and the way I think about it than Joe Biden.
We got
Some
the
voters
first
that might
one.
ask, you've been in the White House for 4 years. You were vice president, not the president. But
I don't know what to do.
Why wasn't any of that done for the last 4 years?
Well, there was a lot that was done, but there's more to do, Anderson. And I'm pointing out things that need to be done, that haven't been done, but need to be done. And I'm not going to shy away from saying, hey, these are still problems that we need to fix.
I want you to meet Jackson Weiss. He's a student at Drexel University from Flourtown, Pennsylvania. Registered Republican. Says he's leaning toward voting for you, but has yet to make a final
Hey, it's that
decision.
wrestler
Jackson.
MJF.
Thank you, Anderson.
Hey, Jackson.
Thank you for taking the time to be here too, Vice
You
President
too.
Harris.
Thank you.
Regarding the rapid increase in the migrant population, how will you ensure that every immigrant is integrated into American society safely?
Hey, Black Light, you've been
What benefits
nominated. You
and
might have to.
subsidies
You're going to
will you
regulate
provide them
tonight.
with, and how long will these benefits and subsidies last for an individual? Most importantly, will the American citizens' taxes pay for these benefits and subsidies? And if so, how much money will be allocated?
Well, thank you, Jackson. Let's start with this. America's immigration system is broken and it needs to be fixed. And it's been
But
broken
you had
for
the
a long
opportunity to
time.
fix it.
And part of what we need to do is always prioritize what we need to do to strengthen our border. I will tell you, I'm the only person in this race among the two choices that voters have.
They have
personally
5
prosecuted
choices.
transnational criminal
Technically 6.
organizations
You lying.
in the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. I have spent a significant part of my career
Are you mad that your mom
making
doesn't
sure
talk
that
to
our
you?
border is secure and that we do not allow criminals in,
Aw,
and we
he
don't allow
mad.
that kind of trafficking to happen and come
Look,
into
he
our country.
mad.
And as my
Go
opponent
drink a soy bottle. How
has
about
proven
that?
himself, he would prefer to run on the problem instead of fix the problem. You may know there were some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress working with others that came up with a border security bill.
So?
That would have put 1,500 more border agents at the border. Those border agents are overwhelmed. They need the support. They need the backup. It would have allowed us to have more resources to stem the flow of fentanyl. I don't need to tell this state and people around the country what is happening in terms of the scourge of fentanyl and how it is literally killing Americans.
No.
It would have put resources into stemming the flow. It would have given more resources to prosecute, to investigate and prosecute transnational criminal organizations. It would have done a lot of good. Donald Trump got wind of the bill and told them, don't put it forward. He killed the bill because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. We have to have a secure border, and we have to have a comprehensive pathway for citizenship. And that includes requiring people, hardworking people,
Black
to
Light,
earn
you got a no neck after
citizenship
you, bro.
and do it in a comprehensive, humane, and orderly manner.
Let me ask you about that. I mean, you talk about the bill that Donald Trump quashed. That was in 2024. You talk about the bill he tried to get passed in 2021. That wasn't able to get passed.
Oh, he's going to build.
2022,
Hold on.
2023,
He's gonna
there were
build
record
camps.
border crossings.
Will there be
Your
games?
administration took hundreds of executive actions. It didn't stem the flow. Numbers kept going up. Finally, in 2024, just in June, 3 weeks before the last first presidential debate with Joe Biden, you instituted executive actions that had a dramatic impact, really shut down people crossing over. Why didn't your administration do that in 2022, 2023?
First of all, you're exactly right, Anderson. And as of today, we have cut the flow of immigration by over half. In fact, the numbers I saw most recently, illegal immigration
But if
is
it was
low.
that
But hold
easy
on, let
with
me
that
finish. Let
executive
me-
action, why not do it in 2022, 2023?
Because we were working with Congress and hoping that actually we could have a long-term fix to the problem instead of a short-term fix.
You couldn't have done one and both at the same time?
Well, here's the thing. We have to understand that ultimately this
When I
problem is
drop
going to be
this link,
fixed
I want
through
all you
congressional action.
loudmouths to come up here
Congress
and try to
has
explain this.
the authority and the purse. I hate to use DC terms, but literally they write the checks. Part of the issue is in order to really fix the problem at the
What
border. I was
fact?
just at
She
the
had
border
2
recently
years
talking
to
with
fix
border
it,
agents.
and
You know
she
what they
didn't do
talk
it.
about?
He
Yes, they
didn't
are
do it. What's the
overwhelmed.
problem?
They're working around the clock. And the other thing that they talk to me about,
What they talk
we
to
need
you
more
about?
judges down there to deal with asylum claims. We need more personnel down there to deal with processing. But Anderson, and that's where Congress kicks in terms of dedicating the resources to actually fixing the problem. We have dealt with it such that, to your point, we now, as of today, as of our visit, have lower
dummy.
undocumented immigrants
She
and
shouldn't have waited for
illegal
him to kill it.
immigration
She should have had it
than
done first
Trump
day.
when he left
Oops.
office.
That's true.
But we need a permanent solution,
Do you
and that
wish you had
requires
done that?
bipartisan work.
Do you wish you'd done those executive orders in 2022, 2023?
I think we did the right thing, but the best thing that can happen for the American people is that we have bipartisan work happening, and I pledge to you that I will work across the aisle to fix this long-standing problem. I think the American people are demanding it on both sides of the aisle. And it's time we actually put the partisan approach
No, I'm going to see if Montgomery.
We
I'm
know
going to see
what
Montgomery got enough
Well,
balls
let's
to
talk
show
about
up
this
here when I
compromise
drop
bill
that link.
that you want to pass if you're elected. You said that's going to be a priority. It includes $650 million in funding for the border wall. That's something Republicans wanted. That was part of the compromise. Under Donald Trump, you criticized the wall more than 50 times. You called it stupid,
Damn, she pulling
useless, and
receipts
a
on her.
medieval
Oh, Lord.
vanity project. Is a border wall stupid?
Well, let's talk about Donald Trump and that border wall. So remember, Donald Trump said Mexico would pay for it? Come on, they didn't. How much of that wall did he build? I think the last number I saw is about 2%. And then when it came time for him to do a photo op, you know where he did it? In the part of the wall that President Obama built.
But you're
cares?
a bill that would earmark
asked
$650
you a
million
question.
to continue building that wall.
I pledge that I am going to bring forward that bipartisan bill to further strengthen and secure our border. Yes, I am. And I'm going to work across the aisle to pass a comprehensive bill that deals with a broken immigration system. I think Jackson's question, part of it was to acknowledge that America has always had migration, but there needs to be a legal process for it. People have to earn it. And that's the point that I think is the most important point that can be made, which is we need a president who is grounded in common sense and practical outcomes. Like, let's just fix this thing. Let's just
You could have fixed it.
Why is there any ideological perspective on it? Let's just fix the problem.
To fix the problem, you're doing this compromise bill. It does call for $650 million that was earmarked under Trump to actually still go to build the wall.
I'm not afraid of good ideas where they occur.
So you don't think it's stupid anymore?
I think what he did and how he did it
Hey,
did
no,
not
he
make much
asked you,
sense because
lady.
he actually didn't do much of anything. I just talked about that wall, right? We just talked about it. He didn't actually do much of anything.
But you do want to build some wall.
I want to strengthen our border.
This is Annalise Keene. She's from Philadelphia. She works as a fundraiser for Habitat for Humanity. She's registered with no party affiliation. She says she's a Democrat. She's leaning toward voting for you, but said she's yet to make her final decision in part because of the conflict in the Middle East. Annalise?
Thank you, and good evening, Madam Vice President. My question is, as president, what would you do to ensure not another Palestinian dies due to bombs being funded by U.S. tax dollars?
So I will say, and I think this is to your point, far too many innocent Palestinian civilians have been killed. It's unconscionable.
Keep going.
And we are now at a place where with Sinwar's death, I do believe we have an opportunity to end this war, bring the hostages home, bring relief to the Palestinian people, and work toward a two-state solution where Israel and the Palestinians in equal measure have security, where the Palestinian people have dignity, self-determination, and the safety that they so rightly deserve.
So you said the Palestinians need Coochie Jackalia.
Who are thinking about supporting a third-party candidate or staying on the couch, not voting at all? Because
staying on the couch. We win.
Listen, I am not going to deny the strong feelings that people have I don't know that anyone who has seen the images
And your punk ass
would
would
not
buy it.
have strong feelings about what has happened, much less those who have relatives who have died
Keep
and been
going.
killed. And I know people and have talked with people.
Mhm.
So I appreciate that. But I also do know that for many people who care about this issue, they also care about bringing down the price of groceries. They also care about our democracy and not having a president of the United States who admires dictators and is a fascist. They also care about
Didn't even
the
answer the
fact that
question.
we need practical, common sense solutions from a leader who is
She didn't even
willing
answer
to
the
work
question.
across the aisle on behalf of the American people and not themselves. They want a president who cares about a fundamental
Janera,
freedom
leave
to
him
make
alone.
decisions about your
He
own
likes Kai
body.
Cenat's meal that he got
Understanding that we're not trying to
McDonald's.
change
He's okay.
anyone's belief,
Let him live.
but let's not have the government telling women what to do with their body.
I want you to meet Beth Sandberg.
What the
She's a
hell?
realtor,
How
a
did you
mom
get
of
to
4
abortion?
From Bellkinwood, Pennsylvania.
Wait a
She's
minute.
a registered Democrat. Says she's undecided
Wait a
because of
minute.
concerns about anti-Semitism. Beth?
Hi, thank you for being here.
Thank you,
Thank
Beth.
you for remembering we need to bring the hostages home.
Of course.
The rise
Yeah.
of anti-Semitism and violence from the rise of anti-Semitism and violence from anti-Semitism has risen greatly on college campuses and on our city
So
streets
sad.
in the last year. How would
I
you
don't see no
combat this growing
periods in
trend and protect our young adults?
Thank you, Beth.
Okay.
You are right, and I will say that we have seen a rise in anti-Semitism. It is something that we have to be honest about and we have to deal with. As Attorney General, I actually published a hate crimes report on a regular basis, and anti-Semitism was among the highest forms of hate in our country, and this was before October 7. And we know what we've seen since. Part of what we've got to do is talk with people so that they understand what are the tropes, what are the roots of what we are seeing, so that we can actually have people be more understanding. We need to have laws in place that make those who would commit
Stop
crimes
dancing.
on behalf of anti-Semitism and hate, that they pay a serious consequence. We need to have the deterrence so that doesn't happen. We need to ensure that college students are safe in their school
What
and feel
about
safe to be able to
anti-black
go to class.
and
But I'm going to tell you what doesn't
everybody
help.
else? What about anti-hate?
Again, I
across the board?
invite you to listen and go online to listen to John Kelly, the former chief of staff of Donald Trump.
Who cares?
Who has told us, Donald Trump said, why aren't my generals like those of Hitler's? Like Hitler.
Shut up.
Who has referred several times. We've heard the reports for years.
Do you believe Donald Trump is anti-Semitic?
I believe Donald Trump is a danger to the well-being and security of America.
Who
He has
cares?
said that he's
Sell
casting
me
himself as
you.
a
Who
protector of
cares?
Israel. Do you believe you would be more pro-Israel than Donald Trump?
Ooh.
I believe that Donald Trump is dangerous.
Oh my God.
I believe that when
She
you have
answered
a
it.
president of the United States who has said to his generals,
Oh no, she answered it.
who work for him because he is commander-in-chief. These conversations, I assume many of them took place in the Oval Office. And if the president of the United States, the commander-in-chief, is saying to his generals, in essence,
Who cares?
why can't you be more like Hitler's
Jesus
generals,
Christ.
Anderson?
Stop bringing up
Come
dumb
on.
shit.
This is a serious
Jesus.
issue. And we know who he
Oh,
is. He
man.
admires dictators, sending love letters back and forth with Kim Jong-un.
And
Talks about the president of Russia, and then most recently, the reports are that in the height of COVID, when most Americans could not get their hands on a COVID test, Americans were dying by the hundreds a day. He secretly sent COVID tests to the president of Russia for his personal use.
and y'all sent it to China.
So
what's the problem?
again, this election in 13 days is presenting the American people
Come on. Hey,
with
Anderson,
a
ask her
very
about bricks.
significant decision.
Yeah, ask
And
her about bricks.
On the one side, on this issue of who is going to model what it means to use the bully pulpit of the president of the United States in a manner that in tone, word, and deed is about lifting up our discourse, fighting against
Come on, tell us about
hate,
lifting up
as
all the
opposed to
boats. Come on.
fanning the flames of hate, which Donald Trump does consistently. I'm going to tell you, we are an incredible country and we love our country. Y'all wouldn't be here unless we love our
Stop
country.
dancing.
And there are certain things where we've just got to come together and realize that we do believe in the importance of healthy debate on real issues, but there are certain standards we've got to have.
Stop
And,
dancing.
you know, another point that even John Kelly talked about, I believe, and many have, is January 6th, where you have the President of the United States defying the will of the people in a free and fair election. And
Okay, y'all
unleashing
impeached
a
him. He
violent
left.
mob
So what's the problem?
who attacked the United States Capitol. 140 law enforcement officers were attacked. Some were killed.
And he was in the heat
And so
in
I
the
say
White
that
House.
to say
Next, let's go.
the American people deserve to have a president who encourages healthy debate, works across the aisle, not afraid of good ideas wherever they come from.
Man, he
also
literally,
maintain
wait a
certain
minute.
standards
He said some dumb shit talking about no
about
tax or
how
overtime.
we think about the role
That's a
and
new
the
idea.
responsibility, and certainly not comparing oneself in a clearly admiring way to Hitler.
We're going to
Hey,
take
y'all,
a quick break.
real
We'll have
talk.
more from the
He's
CNN
back on the
presidential town
cursing because
hall
I
by
want them to give me
President Kamala
my
Harris.
full chat, please. Hey, like I said before, since now y'all can hear me, all y'all that want to come up here and talk stuff, when I drop that link, I want all this bravado. Don't be tough typing. I want to hear the voice. Make sure you eat all your dino nuggies before you come up here, and make sure your shirt don't have any ketchup stains. Well, I forgot we're in Biden's economy. Make sure the water mixed with the tomato paste and a little bit of garlic salt. Make sure that you don't got them stains on your shirt before you come up here. Y'all really voting for this? The woman can't even answer a question. Hey, President Harris, we just had a terrorist attack in New York City. Preliminary reports are coming in that there's about 42 people that have lost their lives and countless are injured or missing. So what's the federal response to something like this? Well, you got to see how we got here. Huh? What do you mean? We know how we got here. How are you fixing it? Who cares? How are you going to save lives? Well, as your president, October 7th was when the remember last year when the war started in Gaza. That's what she was talking about. We had a former president who wouldn't be doing anything in this situation. Why are you talking about Trump? This is supposed to be your town hall. You're supposed to give answers to the questions that these people ask. They want to know. How are you? This is what they're looking at. How are you going to fix it? I don't want to hear about Trump. Jesus Christ. Oh, God. This is hilarious. She looked like when she go visit the site, she start laughing. AK values. You want to know why her and Biden didn't want to do something? Because they don't want their names on legislation that's going to fix the economy or fix this country, because then they'd have to stand on it 24/7, 365. Who are you going to blame when it starts going wrong? They gave the Asian community that hate crime bill. 2 years later, they lost affirmative action, and Asians are getting blamed. Notice, they're not coming outside defending them. They letting them spin in the wind. right in front of the white supremacists because they like it. We curated these questions. They were predetermined. Because they want to be on TV, Deneen, and good evening, beloved. They want to be on TV. Ah, it's back. Let's go. Make sure you hit the like.
And we're back with Vice President Kamala Harris. I want to ask you about something I read. I read that one of the first phone calls you made after President Biden announced that he was dropping out was to your pastor. And I'm wondering, if it wasn't a confessional, if you could say what that conversation was like.
Well, my
What does this have to do with the town
Reverend
hall?
Dr. Amos C. Brown of Third Baptist Church.
Oh, good Lord.
It was an extraordinary day that Sunday when the
What?
president called me, and I instinctively understood the gravity.
It was
of
a
the moment,
glorious day.
the seriousness of the moment. I didn't predict or know exactly how that day would play out, and obviously now it's been 3 months since I've been at the top of the ticket. Actually, 3 months as of yesterday. But I just called him. I needed that spiritual kind of connection. I needed that advice. I needed a prayer. And
I would, but he ain't there.
and
Next.
there's a part of the scripture that talks about Esther and a time such as this, and that's what we talked about.
What?
And it was very comforting for me. And
Do you pray every day?
I do pray every day.
You a damn lie.
I do pray every day.
Do
Sometimes
you pray to
twice a
God
day.
Vishnu?
I grew up. So we grew up a little neighborhood church in Oakland, 23rd Avenue Church of God, and I was raised to believe in a loving God, to believe that your faith is a verb. You know, you live your faith, and
Live would be the
and
verb,
that-
madam. Faith would be the noun.
that the way that one should do that is that your work and your life's work should be to think about how you can serve in a way that is uplifting other people, that is about caring for other people. And that guides a lot of how I think about my work and what is important.
What
did she just the voters. I want you to meet Joe Donahue from Bucks County, Pennsylvania. He works
Joe.
in customer service for a local retailer. He serves as a local election official. He's a registered Republican who says he's undecided, doesn't agree with your stance on abortion, but he is concerned about what he calls Trump's demeanor and actions on January 6th.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Madam Vice President, and thank you, Anderson. Madam Vice President, everybody as human beings, we're not perfect. We have our flaws. We make mistakes. We have our weaknesses. And the office of the presidency can sometimes bring those weaknesses out in ways that the incumbent may not expect. What weaknesses do you bring to the table, and how do you plan to overcome them while you're in office?
That's a great question, Joe. Well, I am certainly not perfect. So let's start there.
Okay, great. And what are your weaknesses?
I think that perhaps a weakness, some would say, but I actually think it's a strength, is I really do value having a team of very smart people around me who bring to my decision-making process different perspectives.
What the hell?
My team will tell you, I am constantly saying, let's kick the tire on that. Let's kick the tires on it. Because listen, as I mentioned earlier, I started my career as a prosecutor. I was a courtroom prosecutor.
Cop.
I've tried everything from low-level offenses to homicides. And I learned at a very early stage of my career and adult life that my actions have a direct impact on real people in a very fundamental way. When I was Attorney General of California, I was Attorney General of what is the 5th largest economy in the world, and acutely aware that my words could move markets. So I take my role and responsibility as an elected leader very seriously, and I know the impact it has on so many people I may never meet. And that is why I
DJ
engage and
Tom
bring
shut up.
folks around. So I
Second
may not be
time.
quick
One
to
more
have
stupid
the
comment, you're
answer
gone.
as soon as you
Thank you
ask
so much.
it about
Nobody
a
supporting Trump here.
specific policy issue sometimes, because I'm going to want to research it. I'm going to want to study it. I'm kind of a nerd sometimes, I confess. And some might call that a weakness, especially if you're, in an interview or just kind of, being asked a certain
I don't know
question.
what the hell
and
she
you're
just said.
expected to have the right answer right away, but that's how I work.
She didn't even answer the
I don't
question.
think I've ever heard the former president admit a mistake. A lot of politicians don't. Is there something you can point to in your life, political life, or in your life in the last 4 years that you think is a mistake that you have learned from?
I mean, I've made many mistakes.
Did you?
And they range from
Sleeping with Willie Brown. Keep
if you've
going.
ever parented a child, you make lots of mistakes too.
Messing with a married
In
man
my
that was
role
separated.
as
Go
vice
ahead.
president, I mean, I've probably worked very hard at making sure that I am well versed on issues, and I think that is very important. It's a mistake not to be well versed on an issue and feel compelled to answer a question.
I want you to meet Pam Thistle. She's from Winmore, Pennsylvania. She's a realtor. She's a widow. Her husband, Mike, died just a year ago. She has 2 daughters in college. She registered with no party affiliation and says she's undecided. She has concerns about how you would handle the economy.
Thank you, Anderson, and happy belated birthday to.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for your loss.
Oh, thank you. Yes, and I'm really appreciative for you to be here and get to know you. When you talk about rich people paying their fair share, can you be more specific? Income taxes are already on a graduated scale, where the more you make, the higher percentage you pay in taxes. So the rich are paying a disproportionate amount in taxes as it is. Over 40% of Americans don't pay any income taxes.
She wrote this question?
Also,
I
the really
doubt it.
high earners may move their money offshore if there are disincentives in the US. This could impact the economy. I would like to hear more nuts and bolts about your economic plans.
Sure. Thank you, Pam. So first of all, it is the case in the United States of America that billionaires on average pay less taxes as a percentage than teachers and firefighters and nurses.
I'm talking
And
about hard workers like pound the street, have some success.
Yes, no, I understand,
Yes.
but I want to just let's
Not
set
the really high.
Let's set the scene, right?
Yeah.
So
Set the
when I
scene,
say that
how we got
the
here.
richest
Okay.
among us need to pay their fair share,
Okay.
I am referencing that, and I need to reference that because sadly, Donald Trump, when he was president, gave tax cuts to the richest, to billionaires and big corporations, which added trillions of dollars to our deficit. So that sadly needs to be said in a way that should be obvious to your point, but is not given what he did. Now, in terms of what we need to do to bring down taxes, I have pledged and have a plan for a middle-class tax cut that would affect 100 million Americans, including, for example, what we will do around small businesses in terms of tax deductions, in terms of what small businesses are now being mired in terms of a bureaucracy around they have to fill out and do their taxes in a way that actually holds them back. Part of my plan includes extending a middle-class tax cut that would include a $6,000 tax cut, essentially a child tax credit for parents and young parents in particular, knowing that the vast majority of our parents have a natural desire to parent their children well, but not always the resources. So this is going to include an extra amount of just money that people can use to pay for childcare, which is far too expensive for too many working families.
17%.
And part of the issue here is this. We cannot, and I will not, raise taxes on anyone making less than $400,000 a year, but we do need to take seriously the system that benefits the richest and does not help out working middle-class Americans. I come from the middle class, and
Here
I
we
believe
go.
that the middle class needs tax breaks to be able to actually not just get by, but get ahead.
So you're saying, well, what you're saying is anyone under 400,000 won't have taxes raised. Or are you saying that anyone above 400,000 will have a tax raise?
I'm saying that there is going to be a parity around what the richest people pay in terms of their taxes. Right now, Anderson, you know, the document, it is well documented that some of the richest people in our country have gotten away with a zero tax rate.
But if you're earning $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 under your plan, there's a good chance your taxes go up.
We can't have this conversation without knowing it's a very complicated situation, right? If you're talking about a small business owner, I'm going to bring down.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about somebody that works a job. They're making that money.
Because I know that they need the overhead, the money that they need for overhead to actually benefit the growth of their business, which benefits our economy as a whole.
Let's go to actually, I want to reference something that about Pam. Pam, we mentioned her husband Steve died a year ago. You've talked about your mom, Kamala Haris, who died 15 years ago. What has grief been like for you? Do you still grieve?
Yeah, you don't stop grieving. You don't stop grieving. I mean, I think that there is, there are like two sides to a coin when you have lost somebody you love. Or that two sides to a coin, that phrase becomes evident, which is if you have had the blessing of a close and important relationship with someone, then when you have the other side of the coin is that when you lose them, the grief becomes even deeper. But I also believe that, for example, anyone who has lost a family member through cancer or an illness, my mother died from cancer. It is important to try and remember them as they lived and not as they died, because the grief can really weigh you down. I think the brain has a way of, when you're grieving, really spiraling down.
Shit,
and it's
sorry.
important, I think, to
My
try
bad. That
and
was
remember
unprofessional. I almost fell
those
asleep.
you have
My bad.
lost in a way they'd want to be remembered, as being vibrant. And I think it's important to just to grieve as one does. I don't think there's any correct or proper way to grieve. And the most important thing is I think that people do not suppress what they're feeling at any moment. And the rest of us should give them grace to go through it as they will.
We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with more from CNN Presidential Town Hall with Vice President Kamala Harris.
All right, she done? Is it over? Sorry. God damn. I'm gonna put my head on the table. What was she talking about? That was worse than the first segment. Oh Lord. Oh boy.
Let me tell you something, man. You see a thing named police, politician. Me not trust none of them boy, the road boy. Remember.
What was she talking about? I don't know what she was what was she talking about? How are y'all doing this evening, by the way? I didn't ask that yet. How are y'all doing today? How was your day? How was your day above ground? Did you accomplish things? Mm. Well, listen, of course they're going to give her television time. They can fit ads into it and make money off of it. Well. Oh, that's good. You're going hunting in the morning. All right. That's what's up. Wow. Oh man. My day was it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. Mm. That gave you nightmares, huh? Well, guess what? You know what we can do in StreamYard? We can do this here. It's on loop. I might do a 10-hour video of just that laugh and get 1 million views. I might do it. No, mental OG, no, you've got to say it correctly. You got to say first, well, let's see how we got here. That's how you do it. Well, that's great that you got the $2,000 bonus. That's wonderful. Yes. Oh, it's back. Wish upon a star.
And we are back with Vice President Kamala Harris. I want you to meet Rob McPherson. He's the Chief Marketing Officer for a local organization. He's registered Republican from Media, Pennsylvania, who told us he's leaning towards voting for you, but has concerns about what he calls shifts
regular
in your
voters.
policy positions. Rob?
Thank you.
You sound official.
Thank you for being here, Vice President Harris. So welcome to Delco.
Thank you.
Here in Delco, we pride ourselves on being authentic.
Yeah.
And much of what we have seen.
Oh God, he can't even talk.
Much of what you've been saying with regard to issues like law and order and fracking reflect a more centrist view than what people are used to hearing from Kamala Harris, leaving some voters to wonder about the authenticity of your current, more moderate positions. Can you talk a little bit about how your positions have shifted and why?
Sure, and thank you. So first of all, on fracking, I've been very clear. We kind of dispensed with this in 2020. I am not going to ban fracking. I did not as vice president. In fact, as vice president, I cast the tie-breaking vote that now has opened up more fracking leases. My value on the issue of what we need to do to invest in a clean energy economy and a clean energy future has not changed. But frankly,
I thought this was supposed to be
now have
regular
the experience
voters.
and perspective of having
He's
been
a
vice
politician.
president for almost 4 years. I've traveled the country. I know that we can invest in a clean energy economy and still not ban fracking and still work toward what we need to do to create more jobs and create U.S.-based
How much
jobs in a
plastic
way
you
that
gonna
will
make?
be globally competitive. On the issue of law and order, as you mentioned, I think there's just a whole lot of misinformation, to be honest with you.
Do tell.
I have personally prosecuted
Black people.
very serious crime. It's how I started my career. I spent most of my career as a prosecutor, not in Washington, D.C. And as my first priority had and remains as a first priority to me, the safety of the American people. So that has not changed. And sadly, I think that there's
They say you
a bit of
failed the bar
misinformation,
exam
if
on the
not
first
more than a
try.
bit. But I'm glad
Not
that you
that there's
raised the
anything wrong
subject
with
so that I
that.
can address it.
You-
But just if you don't mind, just let me just finish. Because I think
She stole that from Roland. Roland, you better get
the
your
spirit of your
royalties.
question is really important, and I'm glad you raised it. Our country deserves to have a president of the United States who is not afraid of good ideas and does not stand on pride. If a perspective needs to be informed by different points of view to build consensus and to have a common sense approach, I'm never going to shy away from good ideas.
What you
And
gonna do
I'm
about
not
them
going to feel
Spanish
the need
gangs,
to have
Matt?
pride associated with a position that I've taken when the important thing is to build consensus to fix problems. I believe in fixing problems. I love fixing problems. And so I pledge to you to be a
How are you on
president
backed
who not
up
only
tights?
works for all Americans, but works on getting stuff done. And that means compromise. And it doesn't mean compromising your values or your principles, but it does mean working to get stuff done. And I pledge to you, I will do that.
Just to be clear, though, what he's referring to, and you point out to when you're running for vice president in 2020, you were not talking about banning fracking, but
No, Anderson, I pledged that I would not ban fracking.
Right, I know. You said
Yeah.
you would not ban fracking.
Correct.
You know, you had said in the 2019 town hall, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. In 2017, you talked about Medicare for all. You talked about 2019, you raised
Now
your hand
just say
in
you
debate
changed
about
your stance.
if border crossing should be decriminalized. Are all of those issues, which those are not your positions now, are all those issues that you're saying through consensus and getting stuff done, you have evolved on?
Well, no, let's take, for
hungry.
example, the issue of Medicare. My point has always been that access to health care should not just be a privilege of those who can afford it. It should be a right for all people. So that is why I have worked on doing what we have done to, one, allow Medicare to negotiate against the big pharmaceutical companies to bring down the cost of prescription medication. We've achieved that in terms of capping the cost of insulin for seniors at $35 a month, capping the cost of annual prescriptions at $2,000 a year for seniors. But my plan moving forward, based on that very principle that I've always had, is as president, to have that cap be for everyone and not just for our seniors. The work that I have done that has been about recognizing the importance of dealing with border security, that has never changed. As I said, I have prosecuted transnational criminal
There
organizations.
you go.
That I did for years before
light, you
I
owe me
ever
$5.
ran in 2019.
I mean, you did raise your hand saying in a debate when asked if border crossing should be decriminalized, but obviously that is not your position.
I never intended, nor will I ever allow America to have a border that is not secure. I believe we need to deal with illegal immigration. There needs to be consequences, which is why part of my plan that I have outlined, and again, please go to KamalaHarris.com. Sorry to throw a website on you, but why not? And you will see that part of my plan includes what we need to do to actually do more as it relates to putting resources in, including increasing penalties for illegal crossing.
And just finally on fracking, you said you're clear you would not ban it as president.
No, I would not ban it as president.
Right, I know you're clear on that. Do you think it is bad for the environment, though?
I think that we have proven that we can invest in a clean energy economy. We can mitigate greenhouse gas emissions. We can work on and sustaining what we need to do
And I
to
don't wanna
protect
piss
this
off the
beautiful earth
big
of ours
oil
and
state.
not ban fracking.
Time is short, so I want to get some more voters in. Tanisha Spall from Lansdowne, Pennsylvania. She works as
Tanisha,
an
here we
education
go.
administration manager for the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections. Registered
Bruh,
Democrat
why are you
who says
bringing
she's
up these
leaning towards supporting you,
politicians?
has
What are we
yet to make a final
doing?
decision.
These
Tanisha,
ain't
welcome.
voters.
Thank you, Anderson. Thank you, Madam Vice President,
you.
for joining us this evening. I appreciate that you did acknowledge that we are a country
is
that is
this
faced
mammy?
with problems and issues. With the Supreme Court being plagued with issues, would you be in favor of expanding the court to say 12, so each justice has only one circuit court other than Chief Justice to assist in making judgments more balanced?
Well, to your point, there is no question that the American people
Then nothing will
increasingly are
get
losing
passed.
confidence in the Supreme Court.
What the hell?
And in large part because of the behavior of certain members of that court and because of certain rulings, including the Dobbs decision and taking away a precedent that had been in place for 50 years, protecting a woman's right to make decisions about her own body. So I do believe that there should be some kind of reform of the court, and we can study what that actually looks like. But I do believe, but again, let's just, while you raise the point of the court, understand that again, in 13 days, the American people will decide who is the next president of the United States. In 13 days, you will decide who is sitting in the Oval Office on January 20th. And on one hand, you have in Donald Trump,
Why are you
someone
bringing
who
up Trump?
has increasingly proved himself to be
Why are you bringing up
unstable,
Trump?
and who, as we have established and the people close to him have established,
it was about
he
the
is
Supreme
unfit
Court.
to serve. Somebody who on January 20th, you can be sure, will spend full time like we know, and we've seen the image mentally of him sitting in the dining room off of the Oval Office, watching for hours as people violently attack the Capitol. You can
That
be
was 4
sure
years
because he has
ago.
said he would weaponize the Department of Justice to go after his political enemies.
Like y'all don't do
you
that
can look at a
already.
Donald Trump in the White House after January 20th, sitting in that
Would you
Oval
like to
Office,
explain us about
plotting his
Diddy?
revenge. He has talked about the enemies within. We haven't even raised that subject, Anderson. The enemies within. He's talking about the American people. He's talking about journalists, judges,
Obama did the same thing.
nonpartisan election officials. He has talked about, as John Kelly has talked about, can he send the military after peaceful protesters? And he's going to sit there unstable, unhinged, plotting his revenge, plotting his retribution, creating an enemies list. I'm going to tell you, my list will be a list of how I address and continue to address the
Your
issues
list are
that
gonna
you
be
all are
people that
raising
pissed
this
you off.
afternoon and evening. It will be a to-do list about how we can impact the American people and lift up the American people and address some of the challenges that we continue to face.
I want to get one last questioner in. This is Elkin Pleat. He's a student at Temple University, registered Democrat, leaning towards voting for you. Has yet to make up his final decision.
What the hell?
Hi. First of all, go Birds, and hi I'm from Danville, California.
Oh, hi, Elkin.
But my question is, what is the proudest moment of your political career thus far, including when you were the AG?
Oh, that's a great one. I've actually had a few.
What kind of question is that?
One of them is I, as Attorney General of California, created what I named the Bureau of Children's Justice. So you may be familiar with that as California, and it was because I believe that frankly we still have a lot to do in terms of policy that impacts children, and an investment in the children of our country is an investment in all of us and our
go
future.
Buzzards.
And that work has actually produced significant results. That has been a proud moment for me. It was a proud moment for me to do the work that we've been doing that has addressed issues like maternal mortality. I mean, it's in response to an incredible tragedy, but lifting up that issue in a way that we agree that America should not have one of the highest maternal mortality rates in the world. So I have had the good fortune of, in my life as a public servant, knowing the impact that we can have. And I guess that is probably what motivates me most, because I know we can make a difference. I really do. And I do believe that the American people deserve a president who's going to be hardworking and, you know, will make mistakes from time to time,
Oh, Lord.
but is focused on you. And I think that is so fundamental in this election. So fundamental. You deserve a president. I believe the American people deserve a president who's saying, look, let's just be practical. Let's get things done. And let's not be afraid of having a little joy.
Go with the
to
vibes.
the point of, you know, what
Where's the
gives you,
vibes?
what makes you feel good about your work.
Are you
Let's
serious?
do it in a way that is grounded in optimism. You know, the thing that I
Y'all
think we all
voting for
know
this?
about who we are as the American
Y'all
people.
voting for a
We are a
scumbag
people who are
with
ambitious.
crypto? Say less.
We have aspirations. We have dreams. We are inherently optimistic. Inherently optimistic. And I think people are exhausted with the idea that we're just going to be divided and angry.
Madam,
instead
you've
of
been
working
angry
on
for the last hour.
problems and working together. And that's what motivates me, and that's what makes me proud when we're able to do that. So,
Vice President Kamala Harris, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Anderson.
And thanks for watching. Thanks to all the voters here. Be sure to join CNN on November 5th for election night in America right here on CNN. Jake Tapper and Aaron Burnett pick it up right now.
Anderson, thank you. You've been watching CNN's Town Hall with Vice President Kamala Harris and undecided voters less than 2 weeks from the election. A lot of tough questions for the vice president there. It seemed as though the voters were divided into three basic groups. Liberals who had not heard enough from her. Progressives worried that she was.
Okay, whatever. Kamala Harris sent us a love letter. And she sent us this horrible town hall. What are we doing? All right, we dropped the link. Hey, all you run up in here trying to troll. You got the opportunity now. You get to come yell at me. Come on now, don't be scared. This is what you've waited your whole life for. You get to yell at a black man. Well, a melanated man, but I'm black. Everywhere that counts. Yes, sir. Oh, it's Miss Nisi. Hello. I'm sorry, I'm used to Wild J being first. Good evening, beloved.
Good evening, KG. Quick statement, because I gotta go to bed.
Dinner's ready.
Ditzy bitch. Lying ass. Confused hoe. She need to fade her ass into the woodwork. I'm out.
2 weeks. We got 2 weeks.
She need to fade her ass into the woodwork now. Goodbye.
Yes, ma'am. That was Miss Niecy. Oh, there you go, family. Hey, where all you trolls at? Come on. I know you got blocked, but you could click the link. You didn't get banned from the channel. You just got banned from commenting. You can still click the link. Let's go. Y'all was tough talking in here earlier. Let's go. I'm waiting for y'all. In the meantime, Kelvin Black, thank you for the $20 super chat. Says saying the same stuff. Can she talk without mentioning Trump? No, she can't. But that's a blessing nonetheless. And you get this here. She had flashbacks when she hears that from Sunday. I'm just saying. Yo 103 Queen, and thank you for the $5. I'm guessing that's a super sticker. That's a blessing. And you get this here. AW1, thank you for becoming a new member. Remember, it's only 99 cents, helps me reinvest back in the platform and buy toys and clothes for the baby. And when you let us know how long you've been a member, or do become a member, or give us a super chat or super sticker, we tell you how much of a blessing that is. And you get this here. And FBA Queen, thank you for giving out 10 memberships. That's a blessing. So for those who got memberships for the next month, you can join us on Saturday night when we go over what's in your food. But thank you again, FBA Queen. And you get this here. Oh, all the trolls, they went to sleep. They're dreaming. They went to go dream of Trump and command me. Isn't that something? I wonder what X is saying about this town hall since it's over. I'm sure the shells are over there. They're just happy as hell. Let's see. CNN town hall. Let's see what these comments look like. Dun, dun, dun. We'll blow it up a little bit. Okay, let's see. Everyone watching CNN town hall, please be honest with yourself and I'll cut you. Kamala's a terrible, unqualified candidate. We need to move from her. All right. Well, it's too late now. Y'all had the opportunity. Y'all let Obama dictate everything, so that's your fault. Here we go. People definitely hold Kamala Harris to a different standard than they hold Donald Trump. Ladarius, they did the same thing with Trump when he ran the first time. Look, he's trying to say that she's black. She has to work 10 times as hard. Okay. By the way, the last man that went against Trump, he had to struggle. We had to wait an extra 4 days. Or did y'all forget that? All right. I'm trying to figure out what y'all want her to do about Palestine. Y'all act like she started the damn war. She watched it happen, though. What the hell is Dana Bash talking about? I don't know. She just be talking. I'm looking at and listening to Kamala Harris and CNN town hall. I'm seeing the president of the United States. You mean Trump? All right. I don't care. I'm just saying. He saw Biden. That's what it was. He saw Biden. All right. The real comedy is that with only 12 days remaining, we actually treat undecided voters as serious people. I'm sorry, but at this stage, with this contrast between the two candidates, if you're undecided, you're a moron. Couch. My 18-year-old son is pro Donald Trump and sat down tonight, watched VP on CNN, listening, giving her a fair chance. That's all I can honestly ask for. All right. So nothing about her policies. All right. He literally asked her about the damn wall and and the border, and she deflected to what Trump didn't do. Okay. All right. All right. Anyway, I guess nobody else is coming. All the trolls went to sleep. All right. Let's take care of this last super chat. Oh, well, isn't that a beautiful super chat? Thank you, FBA Queen, for the 50. That's a blessing. I'm humbled. And you get this here. Yes, JD Vance is a suspect, but you know, did Obama build any part of the wall? I don't care. He out of office. I could care less. I don't know what else to say. I really don't. I'm going to sleep. Well, first I'm going to shower, and then I'm going to go to sleep. But yeah. So join us tomorrow morning where we're going to look at Mark Lamont Hill crashing out in front of Candace Owens on Piers Morgan. Saturday night, we are going to go over what's in your food, members only stream. So you still have an opportunity to become a member. And Sunday, I guess, it looks like Panamania Ricky's and I finally connected, and he wants to come on Sunday. So if we can get that locked down, we'll have a bet on black. So we'll talk to him about the election and his viral video. And I guess Monday, I don't know. I really want to do that religion and politics. I really wanted to do it Sunday, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I might have to move it to Monday. Yeah, I think that's going to be Monday's talks, religion and politics. Oh, Jerry Bedford, thank you for the $50. That's a blessing as well. I appreciate that. I'm humbled. And you get this here. I want y'all to see this post before we leave. Somebody put this up. This has got to be the dumbest thing I've ever seen. They want Bush Jr. to endorse Kamami. Will y'all leave this man alone? Let him be quiet. Y'all gonna trot him out on January 20th, regardless of who wins. Let this man just enjoy the rest of his life and his blood money. Nah, I'm done. I just wanted to cover this. I'm not staying an extra hour. I actually want to go to sleep. Maybe I'll go cuddle with my old lady. Yeah, I'm gonna go cuddle with the old lady. Anyway, hopefully you learned something. If you did, I done my job. If not, I try to be better next time. I'll see y'all tomorrow morning. So bring your breakfast and bring your bucket, because it was a sight to behold. And if you need to burn off some calories early in the morning, we will help you with this, because there was a lot of comedy in there as well. Oh, by the way, now we'll save that. We'll save that, because that would be like a whole nother 15-minute conversation. We'll save that. But anyway, y'all, enjoy the rest of your evening. Take care, stay safe, and you know what to do when the agents of chaos come to mess up your existence.
time's up.
But did we have a good time here? Hello?
At the end of the day gotta end.
And that's it.